ready for this, Nick?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. This is our very first Fanisode.
Y'all ready for this?
It's the episode for the fans. Fanisode number 1.
I don't think that name's gonna stick.
That's not going to catch on.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, welcome to another update, and Archmage Rises rocks the house.
Alright, that's better.
It is. It's awesome. And I've been working on it this week. Nick and I have been doing design, been nailing some core things down, and this is going to be the greatest role-playing game any of us have played.
I believe.
It's all true. It's all coming true. I'm very excited. This episode is a fanisode, and it's all about the fans, and this is the first one we're doing of that kind, and so we're just going to be answering your questions. There's been a lot of questions coming our way and discussion and stuff, and so we're like, wow, we should really get on that. So this is by you and for you, the fans, and we love you and appreciate you, and so this episode is all about you. Now, let's talk about ourselves. So I should have said this last week, but James got married a week ago. So James is our music and sound guy, and he got married, so we want to say congratulations.
Yay!
And in 3 months, the disillusionment will set in. Bye!
Lies.
Yeah, so he's a good guy. I'm happy for them. I couldn't make it to the wedding because I never got an invite.
I feel like I'm with him every day, because every day I load up Archmage, I'm listening to like the same, like 2 songs or 3 songs.
Yeah.
They're good, but I've heard them a lot.
Yeah, and the same songs are in the videos updates as well. So he's back, and he said that he appreciated not giving him much to do while he was leading up to the wedding. So he's back, and he's now working on some new tunes. So that'll be exciting.
Nice.
Now, this is a little bit weird, but this week I was informed by a fan that they just don't take us seriously. In fact, they think that what we're doing is children's programming, and so their 6-year-old watches this every Monday. That, like, we're trying our best here, right? We're working our hearts out. We're trying to do these serious updates, and somebody's like, yeah, it's great children's programming. My 6-year-old watches it. So I think we should do a special shout out to Sawyer and say, hey, Sawyer, you're awesome.
Hi.
So since Sawyer's here, so me and Mr. Teddy Bear, we're gonna do the update together for Sawyer, right?
Oh man.
And you know, since we're basically just doing Sesame Street here, and nobody's taking us seriously, I got Mr. Broccoli, right? So we can he can help do that. Hello, Sawyer. I'm not very good with the ventriloquism.
What poor child gets a stuffed animal of a broccoli?
The kind whose parents love them. And then we got Mr. Star Wars. Claire loves going to sleep with Mr. Star Wars. Now,
That's better.
I'm not really sure exactly why. She's never watched anything in Star Wars. She doesn't even know what it is. But she loves Mr. Star Wars. That's what she calls him. Because I think one day she asked me, she's like, what is that? And I said, oh, it's from Star Wars. So she calls him Mr. Star Wars. So anyway, this is what our updates are going to be now, since now basically we're the equivalent of Barney and Sesame Street. So okay, so let's get off to let's talk about the fan stuff. Okay, so first thing is a number of people have asked, when is build 11 going to come out? Okay, so one person said, couldn't you give us a hint on when the next build will be released? It's been 2 months since the last one. And that is a very accurate statement. And so, yeah, let's talk about that for a second. I did answer him on the forums, but let's just talk to all of our video fans out there as well. And really save you all from reading, because Nick doesn't like to read.
That's true.
It's true. I sent him a document last night, and he didn't read it thoroughly. And I had a bunch of questions, and I said, what, do you want to make a video reading it to you? And he said...
Yeah. Yeah, I would totally watch that.
Yeah, so that would be great. Okay, so I put together this quick little roadmap, and Nick hasn't even seen it, so it's that new. Okay, so the first thing is we're working on what we call UI3. This is our 3rd iteration of the user interface, and there's a number of screens that are going into that. And so I would say, because I've been working on the design work side of that, you've seen a couple of pictures in the previous update videos. The design for that is almost done. I thought maybe I could finish this week. A couple things came up, but you know, it'd be a few more days, and then I'm just done the design work. And then I think the coding and artwork will take this month and probably spill in the next month. What do you think, Nick?
I guess it depends on what we do with it, but it looks pretty good to me. You know, I always think things are done before you do, which it's a good thing you're around because otherwise there would be things that look almost good.
That's right.
So, yeah.
You know, you've seen a number of the design screenshots, and like a good manager, I put up a delivery date before I actually talk to the people that are doing it. Mm-hmm. So you can tell I have a long history in software. So anyway, I figured you're going to be working on that stuff. Like you're working on TownView right now, which is I would say part of it, right? So you're working on TownView right now, and then that's got a bunch of things and stuff. So anyways, it's probably going to be sometime June or July that you finish up all the UI stuff.
Yeah, I mean we're doing things, a lot of other things in between too, but
yeah. Okay, and then the next thing is I've been working on this history generation, or what I call the world generation. That has a lot of AI in it, not just for the history generation, but, well, the AI is in the history generation because they have to make decisions 1,000 years ago, 100 years ago, and whatever. But that same AI is driving the decisions of the nobles and the farm workers and everybody, like, today, like when you play the game as well. So I have to get it right for the past in order for it to be right for the present. And I was making pretty good progress. We did a video update on that a couple weeks back, and I've been interrupted by doing some of the design work on the UI3. So I'm trying to get that done by the end of June. Now, when I'm recording this, my watch says it's the 9th of June. So I still have most of a month left. So I think that I can get it done by the end of the month, but probably when the 25th or so rolls around, I'll say, that was ridiculous. Why did I think I get that done by the end of the month? I'm going to try pretty hard because I'm off in the month of July. We are going to Iceland, Scotland, and then I'm going to Portland for a conference. And I'm going to go live at Nick's house.
Yay!
Until my wife wants me back, and then I'll be coming back to the middle of nowhere, Ontario. So that's what needs to happen next, and then when we have all that stuff integrated, then we can put out build 11. And so I'm thinking best case for that is about mid-August. If I can get my stuff done by the end of June before I go away, and Nick can get his stuff done in June and July while I'm away, then I think about mid-August we get that build out. So what do you think, Nick?
That sounds great. Where's the content chevron?
What are you talking about? We'll just push out all the systems so they could say, hey, neat. I got it. There's one random event. Great.
Yep. There we go.
Hey, there's one NPC that I can talk to. Awesome. It's kind of part of Build 11. Like, we'll put in the content for Build 11.
Nice. I'm excited about that.
Okay, so question number 2. This comes from Engineer42. He says, is there ever going to be a character creation portion? Come on, Nick, where is it?
Yes, there will be. You haven't told me to make it yet, Thomas.
Yes, that is correct. So, yeah, right now you just start vanilla. In fact, the game doesn't even know if you're male or female. We should probably put that in. At least allow, like, when it launches, you just allow them to pick, hey, I'm male, I'm female, or I'm playing as male, I'm playing as female. Because that does affect some things in the game. So is there going to be character creation? There's 100% going to be character creation, and it's character creation that you play out. It's not a whole bunch of stat blocks that you like click plus, minus, and you're like, I have no idea what this skill does, but I sure want 6 more units of it, and we're not doing any of that. So you're going to play it out, and that helps set the stage of the world with who are your friends, who are your enemies, how you leave things off with your teacher, family members. It's just a whole package of like getting started. And so what I answered on the forums was that we will probably put that in just before release. And you're like, wow, that sucks to wait all that time. And the answer is that it's important because I really want when people who have pre-ordered the game and are playing the alpha and everything, and then they finally get release 1.0, the first thing they experience is new content, as opposed to having to play through tons of stuff that they've seen before, and maybe there's a few nuances, or maybe it's better balanced or whatever, but it's basically the same old. So I really want that character creation to be bam, the first thing that they experience, and everybody's like, hey, it's actually done, 1.0, this is great, right? So that's what I'm trying to do there. So hopefully that answers your question. And moving right along, now Leo Finnerel. It's pretty much impossible to say people's screen names. Leo and Will Sama 974 have been asking questions on the forums about slavery. And so he says, I would like to know more regarding eventual anti-slavery quests that I once asked about on YouTube. Oops. I am dying to know how much I'll be able to be a male version of Daenerys Stormborn, going around and kicking slavers. So that's really cool, yes, that he can see that, you know, things in Game of Thrones that we can play out in Archmage Rises. It's kind of by design. Yes, there is slavery in the world of Vaelon, and it's not racial slavery. I want to be clear about that. It's just like an economic kind of form of slavery, more or less what they had in Roman times. And I don't know how much slavery there was. Well, in Western Europe, I don't know how much slavery there was in medieval times. There's probably some. But the idea was that somebody gets captured or they fail in combat, and rather than being killed, they agree to be a slave. So that's basically what happens. And so there is slavery, and then Leo goes on to talk, we talk back and forth, and he had some really good ideas about how that should be implemented. And I'm like, why am I designing it? This Leo guy should just be designing all this stuff. So he had some really good ideas, and we're going to put that in. And so the first thing is that people have an opinion on slavery, and that is so whether they think there should be slavery, they're neutral to it, or like whatever, or they're against it. And then towns have basically their free towns, or their slavery approved towns, or they're neutral. So if you show up with slaves, I guess we're going to protect them as your property, but we don't actively have slaves around here. So that creates a point of contention between the different towns. And then that also gives a reason to interact, like with the Lord Mayor. Maybe become his buddy and say, hey, will you change your opinion on slavery, right? And then you can undo slavery. Or you could kill the mayor and put one that is anti-slavery into power, and then there you go. And so is there a way to ultimately get rid of slavery in the world? I think that there is. I don't know mechanically exactly how to do that, other than getting all the town lords to be against slavery. But because Pardon?
There's also slavers, right? You could take that personally. Go to the source, right?
That's right. Yeah. So you could go and kill all the slavers, and if nobody continues to be slavers, then I guess you've ended slavery. But when Daenerys goes in and takes out Slaver's Bay, she basically frees everybody, and bam, it's all like in one final blow, like everybody is free. Now, it doesn't actually go very well for her, but I don't want to ruin that for you, Nick. So yeah, there's like some kind of like edict on a town or something like that that's determining like, hey, we're not going to have any slaves here, and maybe there's a way that sticks beyond the actual town lord, because town lords can be killed, or they can age out and die, or there could be a revolt and stuff. And so how do you make that stick forever? And maybe it just doesn't need to stick forever. So you're forever fighting slavery for your whole life. Was it William Wilberforce that fought slavery in England? They made a movie about him recently, Amazing Grace. And he fought it his whole life. And in the end, finally, they did abolish slavery as a law. So thanks for that. And hopefully those answers help. There was one last thing about the slavery, was that you'll be able to see the slavery caravans moving around on the map, and then you can interact with them. You can buy, sell, or kill the slaver while they're on their way, so you can ambush them. Okay, and the final question we have is around relationships, marriage, and the Mage Tower.
Love and marriage.
And Leo Finnerel asks, how does romance work exactly? Can you romance anybody and get to convince the romance to move in with you in your tower? Can you choose to ask them to move into their home, marriage, or something like that? So all good questions, and there's a little bit of romance options in the current pre-alpha, but by no means is it complete. So the way specifically on the moving in, he's kind of asking about like where do we live, where do they live, and so through this discussion on the forums, I actually pointed out that we had some flaws in the current kind of thinking. So the way it's going to work now is that you can get married to anybody. So you find somebody, you get romantically interested, bang, you get married. and now you're married, and then they join you. Basically, they're part of your party in a sense. They accompany you, follow you around, and so you can then interact with them and say, "Hey, come move in with me." And then that means that's like a separate thing from marrying them. So that way you can have secret families in multiple towns, and that's really important. So you don't actually have to move in order to be married and have marital interactions and stuff. So that option of having them move in with you, Nick and I talked about it. We don't want to do moving in into their house. So basically the option is to move in with you. Now, if you decide not to have a mage tower and just live homeless, you're just forever going to be, they're going to be with you all the time. I guess that creates an interesting thing. You have to constantly protect them as you do things, and you guys are living in and out of hotel rooms, basically. You're on the run. And then finally, you can... we were like, well, if you're like clicking on someone or giving like an interaction option for... hey, why don't you move in with me? And then it does a check to see if the relationship's high enough, whatever, in order to move in. Then why don't we just make that available to anybody? Because, you know, why not have roommates or something? Like, people like just move in. And so then it was like, well, yeah, we'll just code it so that as long as you have enough bedrooms, like you go to invite someone in and, you know, there's 3 of you there and there's 4 bedrooms and you invite them in. Okay, fine. And they agree to come. Great. You got another person living there. So basically, if you really wanted to, you could build like a frat house of at your mage tower and just keep building up to the sky and keep building bedrooms and, I don't know, get like 100 people in your mage tower. Like, it's going to get expensive, but if that's the way you want to play, then we're not going to put anything in the way to stop you from doing that.
That sounds awesome. Just a giant tower full of people. You just constantly feeding them all the time.
Yeah, you got this huge upkeep. You're running like a hostel or something. Hey, if you want to do it, this is the game, right? This is the anything you want to do kind of role-playing game. So yeah, if that's the way you want to play, there you go. So that answers those questions. So we want to thank you for interacting with us on the forums, asking these good questions, coming up with good ideas, better ideas than we had. And with your help, this game will be more awesome.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
That's funny.
What's funny?
The frat house. I was looking at the bottom of this thing the whole time, like, what is that about? That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Do we have anything else to say to the fans, Nick?
Nope. We've got a bunch of stuff behind the scenes that I'm excited to show, but we'll have to do it at a later date. So next week, I guess.
We will show exciting things next week. That's a promise.